Welcome to the Lost Rewatch. It's going strong. We're almost through with season 2, which is, I'm kind of shocked because I was watching it. I go, oh, wait, I'm almost done with season 2. That's not bad. But I think we had 2 pretty good episodes tonight. And I'm joined by Karen and Joel. How's it going, guys?
Great.
It's going well. Talking about Joel, Lost. Can't go wrong there.
Now, Joel, this is your first time on the rewatch. So how did you get into Lost? Do you have any interesting stories about Lost? Did you almost win something on Lost? I mean,
okay, teeing me up for that one. I got into Lost. The first I ever remember of Lost was seeing a TV guide at my friend's house, and he just had the picture of all of them on the island, and I was like, well, that looks lame. And then I ended up watching it by the end of season 1 and was absolutely hooked on it. And then I believe I found your podcast somewhere in season 2, right?
Yeah, that's when you guys started. Yeah, we started in season 2, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? Lost ended in 2010, right?
Right.
Yeah. So 2009, I had a son, named him Sawyer.
Nice.
And then, there was this Lost How Will It End contest, sponsored by somebody. I can't remember who. Pretty sure it was Global Cash Card. And then, I got 3rd place and won the Towerette statue. I'm not at all bitter that I didn't win the Dharma van. It's fine. I'll live.
It was I'll say this. It wasn't. They really went all out with the van. I mean, they probably put more money into it than they should have. And I did want to steal it, but it didn't end up that. Because it was inside the Orpheum. They said you could only get enough gas to get it to only drive like a mile, because you couldn't have the gas inside this closed in.
Yeah.
I said, so you're just telling me I can't steal it? Because I was gone. I was going to be screw the finale. I'm taking the van.
Right.
I'm rolling down the road.
Watch it later.
Get out of the way, Henderson. I'm going. I'm over it.
Right. But I mean, Lost really changed the way I view TV, and it made me inspired to try to make cool stuff. I explore abandoned buildings in a local Gary, Indiana, and I named that Lost to Time because the buildings have been lost to time. So just anything, it's made me want to make cool stuff. I didn't know stuff could be as awesome as Lost is, and cinematic wise and story wise and all that stuff.
And like you said, it ended 10 years ago, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
And still
I got my girlfriend watching it now. Got her into season 4. Oh, really? So
yeah, new recruits. We need new recruits.
Yes, exactly.
Does she like it?
Yes. I thought by the time we got to some of the time travel-y stuff, she'd be like, what is happening? But no, she's totally in. We just watched The Constant the other day.
Oh, really?
Great episode.
That's a clincher for anyone that's made it that far. I think they're in all the way.
Yeah, she was blubbering, and she didn't see me crying, even though tears were flowing down my face. So she's like, "Oh, he's not crying. I can't cry," but she was sobbing anyway.
Is she? How many episodes a day? Is it like daily, or just whenever you have time?
Whenever we have a chance, yeah.
Does she ever go, I want to watch one more? I want to watch one more.
Yes, I missed the episodes at the end of season 3 from greatest hits through season 4, episode 5, because she watched them all without me.
Nice.
So I just jumped back in. I mean, I've seen it all in every possible way. I did a Chronologically Lost podcast where me and my sister talked through 101 episodes of it in chronological order.
Oh, really?
Which is really fun if you haven't seen that.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
You sounds like my wife, because my wife will be watching something, and all of a sudden she goes, well, you were busy, so I'm like 8 episodes ahead. I go, well, I thought we were watching this together. Now, if I were to do it, the gloves are off. But anyway, I'm not here to complain.
It's on a loop in our house. It's literally on a loop. So it's just always on.
I've tried with my kids a few times to get them to watch it, but yeah.
How old are they?
5, 10, and 15.
Oh, the 2 older ones should be into it, right?
Yeah.
You would think so, yeah. But no. I can't convince them that it's the greatest show of all time. They watch like 2 or 3 episodes, and we're just like, I can't.
You know what you do? Put it on YouTube.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Put it on YouTube and have somebody commenting over it as they're watching it, and then they'll watch.
Because that's what the kids do today, right? They all watch YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just want to watch people watching other things and commenting about it and talking bad about it. So
I'm just amazed how many subscribers those people have, and a million views. I'm like going, all this guy's doing is watching a show and talking about it. I mean, I don't get it, but I'm old.
I don't want to be the old guy complaining about people watching YouTube. These youngins nowadays and their YouTubes.
I'm the one doing that. I'll do it because I'm old.
I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 in 3 months. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't know who you're talking to with the both of us.
40 is really old.
Oh God.
When I hit 40, I thought it was old, but it was like
break out the Geritol. Here we go.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
All right. For all us old people, we have, and if anyone's in the chat, we have 2, I think, really good episodes. Lockdown, we'll talk about first, and then give our thoughts afterwards. But it starts out with Helen. Now, I'll get to my Helen thing in a second, but Locke and Helen are going on a picnic, and Helen's reading their obituaries, and she notices that Anthony Cooper has died.
Yes.
Finally.
Do we believe that Helen, the first thing she does every day is read the obituaries?
Well, she's old. All she has to do is read the paper. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, it was meant to be that she had to read that day. So it was meant to be. And I got to preface this, that when I watched these 2 episodes that we're going to talk about tonight, Jack already knows this, that my take on the story is we're watching more of a journey to enlightenment with Jack and the people on the island. So these 2 episodes, in my opinion, depict that idea with such honor. The theme of life, death, and rebirth are all over the next 2 episodes about the learning to let go and brought you to this place. So I kind of feel like Helen reading the paper, it was meant for her to see that day, because that's what's going to bring John to the place where he needs to go through his journey within this episode, which we'll get to.
He nearly let go too. He was really close.
Right. And, we've talked about this previously too, that John does take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. That's kind of always been his thing. And that's, again, shown in this episode, because he was ready. He was facing a lot of things. And then, he takes that step back again, but it does.
I could go with that, but here's I've always thought that Helen was always working with Anthony Cooper.
Really?
Go on. I'm down for conspiracy theories.
I honestly believe I believe that the first time, she just happened to be there, and because the reason she leaves him, if you truly love someone, okay, a guy can't get over his dad. He wants his dad's love, and you can't understand that. And she just seems to leave when it's convenient for her to leave. It's, I'm out of here. You can't get over your dad. And this episode really, really convinces me, because she's the one that finds out that Anthony Cooper has died in the obituary. She sees it. Mm-hmm. She shows up at the motel, slaps him in the face, and leaves as Anthony Cooper's leaving because all the money.
So you think she circled the block and came back and got the maid's tip?
I think because Anthony Cooper leaves after Locke. I'm sure he has the 200,000 in him. I think he takes it.
You think he just took it, right?
I think he just took it. And she, of course, John gets on his hands and knees. He puts out a ring. I can't do it, John. I'm out of here.
Right. That was a little disappointing when we get to the end of the episode, but
right.
I never thought that she was involved in, the whole Anthony Cooper thing. I felt that she was somebody who was trying to nudge John every step of the way to face, hey, you cannot keep bringing yourself to this place with this man. That's the thing that's torturing John, is he needs to let go of this thing with his father. But she to me was one that kept trying to push him to do it. But then maybe at the end she just was like, yeah, okay, I waited long enough, I'm done. But she felt betrayed. She felt betrayed at the end. Like, there you are showing up at his hotel. I know we're jumping ahead, but I don't know.
Well, if she did go with him, we at least know she got her comeuppance, because he ends up remarrying. So he must have disposed of her at some point before he pushed Locke out the window.
Yeah. Or that, or she was just in it for the money.
You think he would have got scammed by her? You think she's smoother than Anthony Cooper?
I don't know. I've never. I get everything everyone says, Karen. I get what you're saying. I get everything saying. You know, she is trying to push John into, but John's just not. Whenever his dad gets involved, he just wants to believe. You know, that's his weakness. We've talked about it 1,000 times. He wants to believe everyone's telling the truth. He wants to believe he's someone special. He wants to believe that like we all do. And I just felt that, okay, yeah, he lied. He did lie to her, but you know, it's like. But another thing too. Well, we'll get to that. I'll save it. We'll get to that part when we get to that part. Jack wants Henry to draw his map to the balloon because remember the last episode Henry made. Well, maybe it's a trap. If I was one of them, wouldn't I be leading a trap? And so he's in a hurry, and Locke's like, well, it doesn't matter. It's too late now anyway. So of course Jack and Locke do not agree.
Never.
Shocking.
Never.
Well, this is when he starts driving that wedge there too between Jack and Locke.
Right.
Benry at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
He Jack leaves, and then Henry goes, why do you let him tell you what to do?
Yeah, Ben starts to test John a little bit just to see if he can get in his head. He's just giving that little bit of
why do you let him talk to you like that?
Yeah.
Right. And John gets mad. And, his anger management's coming back. He's Helen to calm him down. And he throws him in the armory. And you know, at this point, Benry, whatever we want to call him, is really succeeding in getting in John's head.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be that difficult a task to get into John's head.
No. Like we said, John is the kind of guy that you can kind of push his buttons, and he'll play his hand, show his hand pretty easily.
Right. And like we learn later on, his personality and his makeup is he's amenable for coercion. So you are able to kind of lead him, you know, in a way. He falls for things because he's a very hopeful guy.
I think he still thought his dad would love him at the end.
Right, he's a very hopeful guy. Yeah.
And again, who wouldn't want to believe that your parent, you know, you've had a, you know, he stole the kidney, but you still want to believe that they're going to love you. And, he wanted to be loved. He was in foster homes his whole life, right? He's got Helen because Helen had left. Now she's back, but that's not enough for him. He wants more.
Yeah, it was what he was missing his whole life. So yeah, it's natural that you'd want to try to fill that hole.
Right, and he wants to understand why Anthony Cooper betrayed him so badly in conning him into the kidney. So he's got this, I need you to love me, I want you to love me, we missed out on life, but why did you steal from me? So he's so torn in his own emotions, wanting to know the answers to those things, that he's just, where Helen's trying to tell him, just let it go, get over it. Just, you can't keep torturing yourself.
I don't know, but your dad steals your kidney.
Yeah.
when like Rock says later on, I would have given it to you.
Right. If you asked, maybe I would have said yes.
Yeah.
Well, like Karen said, he's always asking why. He was shouting at an inanimate object, the hatch. Why are you doing this to me? You know, he can't let that go. He needs to know.
Yep. He's always questioning. Always, you know, he needs answers. Always.
The poor guy.
That's who he is.
They're looking. We find Saeed, Charlie, and NOC are looking for the balloon. They find the balloon, and it's it's not raining here because they find the gravesite.
Yes.
And then they find the balloon. Did we lose Joel?
I think we did.
No.
Are you there? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there
you are. Okay. Well, so we have this gravesite now, but Saeed, of course, you could see on his face. Yeah, I don't know. We better investigate further because something's still not right. Saeed is a good reader of people, though, so he's right to wonder if something's more to this.
Well, I think he knows that Ben is lying.
Of course.
Yeah, he's known from the start.
Of course.
Well, he's an interrogator. Yeah, he's got to know those things, or he's not very good at his job.
Right.
So he knows. We see Jack walking around. He asks Hurley, "Have you seen NLC?" And he goes, "I'm not in the loop, man. I don't know."
Loop, dude.
Yeah. And he goes, I like Jack. Like, what do you mean, what loop? There's a loop. There's a loop. And there is.
There's absolutely a loop. He's just the leader, so he doesn't even realize there's a loop and that they're leaving people out of it.
Definitely a loop.
And at this point, has Kate told Jack about the medical hatch?
I don't think so.
I don't think no,
because she found it. She found it a few episodes ago. And I'm still trying to remember if she
found it, but she didn't tell him yet. I don't remember. Oh God, I feel like an awful losty. That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't think she's told them about the medical hatch. I could be wrong because this is what they do on this show. That nobody's in the loop. It's like you're either part of that clique or you're.
Well, she doesn't tell them till they get caught in a net when they're on their way to get caught in a net, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
But even Claire
caught in a net.
That's what the kids are calling it these days.
Yeah.
But to be fair, if everybody talked on this show, there would be no mystery.
Right.
You know, like if people just had reasonable conversations at the end of the day. So what'd you get up to today? Oh, I found this hatch. And, you know, it wouldn't have all the suspense and drama. People just can't talk about things for whatever reason.
I agree, but sometimes it just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's super annoying.
You find a medical hatch, but you don't tell the doctor.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of it like that.
I mean, I can see that telling me if I'm just a random,
right. You don't tell Hurley about the medical hatch, but yeah,
you can tell Jack. I think Jack should know. You wouldn't want to tell Sawyer because Sawyer would go find it and take everything that's left and auction it off. So Locke's in the hatch and he hears a transmission out of one of the speakers.
Yeah, that was really freaky because we were exposed to that the first time ourselves. It's like, oh my God, what's going on, And he's really trying to figure it out. Where's it coming from? What's it doing? And of course, Henry Gale is in the armory freaking out, going like, what's going on?
Yeah,
oh, you dude, that's awesome.
I got one of these from Hawaii. I was on the island when they filmed the finale, and it was behind the trailer at the Dharmaville.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you borrowed.
That's awesome.
I borrowed it. that's why this part's broken.
Oh,
nice.
Turns out it's not actually rusty. They just painted it to look that way, as you can see by the totally clean part of plastic.
TV magic.
Nice work.
I mean, how are you ever gonna? What are the odds you're ever gonna come across that again? Yeah. And it was clearly they were done with it. They were all lined up behind the building.
Yep.
Did I just admit to stealing that? Nope.
No,
yes, you kind of did right there on live YouTube.
Oh well,
but it's been I think 7 years is the statute of limitations. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been 10 years.
It's been 9 years. Yeah.
9 years. So you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. We go back to the off island, and Helen and Locke show up for the funeral. And I thought Helen had a good line. Well, maybe he's going to give your kidney back.
Yeah, she's such a sweetheart.
They didn't even read his will. Maybe it was in there.
Yeah. Here, you can have it back. I don't want it anyway.
Right. And of course, they're the only two at the service there, except for the two goons that are hanging out, loitering, waiting. So obviously he gets a little glimpse something's not right. Like these people are obviously here, but they're not here. So
because you see Locke looking around.
Yes.
He's like, okay, what's going on? He sees the car.
Right. But he also does say to Anthony when he says goodbye to him in the cast right there, he does say, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Doesn't he say that's when he says it? I forgive you. So
he does.
He's learning. But
Anthony didn't hear him.
Right. He didn't hear him because he wasn't there. But Anthony apparently was in a car.
Right.
Was it the smartest thing to do to attend your own fake funeral? I mean, that seems pretty ballsy to just like show up knowing that you're doing it because you owe people money and knowing that they're going to show up for that and you're just there in a car. What if they boxed him in? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But here goes back to where he needs to know if Helen succeeded in getting Locke to the funeral.
Oh, right.
Because Locke had, in order for him to get the money, Locke has to be conned into, be conned again. So he has to see, okay, Locke shows up for the funeral. All right, I've got him. I've reeled him in. He's got it. So if Helen doesn't read the obituary,
okay, so he had to make sure Helen read the obituary to Locke.
Right.
Okay.
But see, if Helen already knew the obituary, if the obit was going to be, it was going to be there in the paper, he just has to work. Okay, are they there?
Right.
Maybe she put the obituary in the paper.
She could have. Who knows? Either way, I could be wrong, but I like to believe I'm right on this one. But you never know. We go back to the hatch, and a lot of stuff is happening. I can remember when it was happening at the time, where the countdown started going, and then the blast doors come down. And Locke is always smart on his, for most, when he doesn't have to think, he throws the crowbar underneath the thing, keeping the door tight, at least a little window,
right,
little gap.
So he doesn't become trapped in there. Yeah.
Right. So do you guys remember when that happened, when you guys were watching it? It was like, oh my God, what's going on?
Well, yeah, we've never seen that before. That was new.
Yeah, that's one of those things that when I was watching it back this time, I noticed how long she counted down for. When Desmond would do those, or Desmond and why can't I think of his name at the moment?
Kelvin.
Yeah. When Kelvin and him would do it, it would be like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing, lockdown. And this felt like it was going on for like a minute and a half, where he started hearing the transmission coming through, and then he's hooking up the wires and checking the speaker. And I mean, I get that they hadn't really narrowed down that part of how that was going to work yet, but yeah, that was like, well, that's weird.
And I like how they set it, because Michael's the one that pointed out there were blast doors.
Right.
Back in the beginning of season 2, like maybe the 3rd or 4th episode.
Yeah.
So they were
Locke was like, yeah, whatever, big deal. He fluffed it off. He totally fluffed it off.
But at least it wasn't something that just came out of the blue. They did tell us there were blast doors, which is great writing, and we finally got a payoff. Hurley comes up to Sawyer. Sawyer calls him Amarillo Slim, which I thought was a good thing. And I'm sorry. Yeah, no, he calls. No, it's not Hurley. He calls Jack Amarillo Slim, right? I think I confused my episodes here.
Wait a minute.
Anyways, Sawyer talks Jack into playing poker.
Right.
Yeah, I got confused with Dave there for a second.
Well, didn't Kate say something about coming and sitting down, or was it maybe it was Sawyer that was saying, "Oh, what, you got to go back to the hatch? Yeah, it'll be waiting. It's not going anywhere."
Right,
it's not going anywhere. So he's trying to talk him into playing poker,
which is convenient because he definitely needed to go back to the hatch at that point.
Right. But he didn't. He decided to play poker, which it has some fun. Which I think Kate said, Jack, fun.
Lighten up.
Remember that?
Yeah. Then we find out Locke is a house, and he's inspecting houses now, and he's inspecting a house for Nadia.
Yeah.
So we see Nadia for the one time this season.
Things. I love those crossovers like that, where if you're not really paying attention, you wouldn't notice. But
yeah.
I mean, obviously, we've all watched this show a million times, I'm assuming. So
yes.
Well, I like that. I can remember watching. Hey, that's Nadia. What's Nadia doing there? And we don't see it again. We don't see her again until season 3.
Mm-hmm. And that's that hint again, Jack. Like we've spoken about before, about the connectivity. There's so many more connections to each of these people and personalities and situations that I love seeing when they get to connect with us again and say, hey. Right. This person's path crossed with this person's path, and this person, So that's. Do
you think that's just like destiny, or like what do you think the meaning for the crossovers is? Like in the big picture,
it shows you the connectivity of everybody, like just like it happens in real life. And of course, now you're getting into my territory because I'm on the realm of what the story is about, this journey to enlightenment, which all of those things talk about connectivity between people. Paths crossing. So I do think that is an important part of storytelling, because we've seen connections in people's paths crossing in other episodes. So I just think it's a really important part about when you're on your journey, when you're on your path, you're going to meet people. You're gonna meet them maybe for a second, or you may meet them and they'll last a lifetime. But it's just proving us connectivity, which is part of the journey to enlightenment.
So do you think that was anything to do with like the way Jacob got involved? Like, do you think that was anything in that realm where it was like, okay, well, these people need to intersect, or do you think it was literally just coincidence?
It could be taken both ways, because by the time we are introduced to Jacob, we're under the impression that he was a puppet master to some degree.
Right.
So, and it can be taken that way, but it also, life is chance. Some things are meant to be, some things are just chance. But everybody you meet is for a reason in your life. So I just think that that's a little bit of the depth that I get out of the story. Sometimes we get into some really deep stuff with the story. Sometimes it's just, we're having fun and we're watching this and watching that. But
that's why it's so good, though. The depth is what it's all about.
Right. And everyone has a completely different perspective of what they see and what they experience when they watch. For me, it just happens to be this angle. So that depth of the letting go and, paths crossing and coming home, even the word home on his jumpsuit there, which looks like a Dharma jumpsuit, by the way, I'm going to say.
I did, yeah.
Oh, Locke's?
Yeah, Locke's jumpsuit. So even though he's, the little bits, and Jack, we've talked about this before too. Everything in storytelling, when we're watching it on the screen, is part of the story. Whether it be a song, the set decoration, things in the background, what they're wearing, right? That's part of the story as well. Well, here we are kind of seeing him at some point looking kind of, at some point in the story, he's got a Dharma jumpsuit on, but it's really not. It's his work jumpsuit. But on his jumpsuit, it says home, whatever his home, it was called. His business was called.
Spectre, home something, some company at home.
Home something, but home, for me, that was the word that jumped out at me. Home. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right. I do remember looking at the jumpsuit and seeing it said home.
Right. Whatever the whole title was, but we'll get to that in a second, because sometimes I get too deep and it really gets people like, stop, Karen, you're getting too into that angle.
I don't think you can get too into stuff on Lost.
But that's the path that I took, and what I got out of watching the story is, because we're watching everybody learn something in this story. We're learning, everybody has baggage. Everybody has things that are making them, that happen in their lives that made them feel trapped, things they couldn't let go of. So this island experience is teaching them how to do this, how to learn to let go, how to learn to grow. It's a journey to enlightenment, also, and how to find your way back to yourself, to your own center, to your own home.
Okay.
All right, I'm not going to argue with that.
Let's see all the hate mail. We'll see all the hate messages I get after this episode.
So for Locke, this meeting with Nadia wasn't really anything substantial to him.
Not to him.
They just chose to show that one as opposed to the hundreds of other ones that he did.
Absolutely, right.
Just to show that there is this connectivity.
There's connectivity between humans. Yes.
Gotcha.
And some of them, you may know somebody, I know somebody knows somebody, but somewhere along the line, we all connect somehow.
Okay.
And then we see Locke sees the same car, wearing his home jumpsuit, and it turns out to be his dad. Now, I give Locke credit on this one.
I got to tell you something with this thing. Go ahead, go.
He stole his kidney. He lied about dying, and Locke does not beat the crap out of him. I credit Locke on that one.
Well, he's not a fighter, really, is he?
I don't know if I'd credit him so much as go, come on, man, what are you doing? He was still going for his dad's approval there. He should have whooped his ass. That would have been way better. I don't know. I would have had more.
He's just such a desperate soul, though. He's just so desperate. You
could have respected it if he punched him. Yeah. You know what I mean? He would have been like, oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah. Well done.
You're true. He's not a fighter, though. He doesn't. No. He has a temper, but you rarely see him get, unless it's Charlie's face. He'll punch Charlie around. But,
poor Charlie.
He'll punch people over a baby.
Yeah, but not not a kidney.
Poor Charlie.
Well, they're having drinks, and that's when Locke tells Dad, "I would have given you the kidney. Mm-hmm. All you had to do is ask." He goes, that's just the way I am. But I got $700,000 in a safe deposit box after these two goons, those guys you saw at the funeral. They're keeping, I conned them out of it. There's $200,000 in it for you.
He said 750, and then he's like, I'll give you 200,000. I just thought, well, why not give him a third or half, or you know what I mean? It was weird that he went 750 and then I'll give you 200. That's that's the best I can do. Well, actually, the best you could do is all of it.
Yeah, if I'm John, sure, I'll do it for you. This guy's been conning people his whole life. Right. Why don't you just take the money?
Does he know that though? Does he know that his dad's a con man? I can't remember.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I guess he wouldn't know at that. But he did say he conned those people out of money.
He's been doing this his whole life. He's conned people out of money. So yeah.
And he conned him out of a kidney. So yeah, I mean, you'd think he put two and two together.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you think about again? We go back to where John wants approval. John wants the love of his dad. Okay, if I get him the money, he'll love me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he even considered taking the money. I don't think that was even an option for him. I don't think that crossed his mind that he'd keep it.
It's just for a matter of approval to prove his worth to his father. It's a constant thing for him. Yeah.
But wouldn't that be the long con if John took the money?
Long con. Yes.
She can buy all the kidneys he wants.
Yeah, screw you, Anthony Cooper. We go back on the island, and Jack needs Ben's help to lift the doors. He needs his help, and we go and see Jack. Jack is cleaning up in poker. He's killing Sawyer in poker. So it really wasn't an exciting scene, but I think it was kind of fun.
Well, it set up the most important episode of Lost, Stranger in a Strange Land.
That's true. It did.
But it was an entertaining exchange between them. I mean, they're putting their mangoes where their mouth is, and they're having a good time.
Well, you got Kate saying, "Should I get you guys a ruler?"
Right. We'll leave you to your sandbox. But yeah, the measuring contest was implied.
But isn't she the one that's kind of caused the problem between the two of them in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Kate's the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe how much she sucks in watching this show back a few times. You know what I mean? Like, the more I rewatch it, the more I have no time for her crap. She's just the worst.
Aw, poor Kate.
I want to like her, but give me a single reason to like Kate.
She is a pain in the ass because she's always got to be in the middle of everything. But
but she cares. Yeah. She helped deliver Aaron
a couple of times.
I think that was a matter of circumstance. A couple of times. I think that was a matter of circumstance. She just happened to be there, and she's not going to walk away from it. But
again, if she was a terrible person, she'd walk away from it, right?
I didn't say she was terrible. She's just. I did say she's the worst. Yeah, she is the worst. I stand by it.
Well, I know when we were doing the podcast, I used to defend her left and right, and when we did our first rewatch, I go, "Okay, all right, I can kind of see where people
don't get it now."
Kate. Yeah. And as it goes on, I go, "All right, I get it. You kind of look past her pretty face, and I go, okay, she's not a perfect person.
No.
But none of them are.
No, but again, we've spoken about this, Jack. Every time something has to happen, she's always got to put herself in the middle of the mix. She's got to get involved in everybody's business. Mind your business. Mind your business. Just go do something else. But she always has to.
She wants to be in every loop, though.
Right, she does. She wants to know everything. Yep.
And then she doesn't even share about the medical hatch.
Not yet. You got to be on your way to a net before you spill the beans.
Jack wants to play. He's got all the papayas and bananas and all this stuff. He wants to play Sawyer for the medicine that was taken from the armory.
All of it.
All of
the medicine.
They put a toolbox under the blast doors, and Locke is going to crawl underneath it.
But I mean, just give it a second. They're heavy doors. What are you doing? Shoving your leg under on a part where there's metal posts sticking down. There had to be a spot where he could have slid under.
I agree. You got it to a certain point. Okay, like is it okay? Let's see if this holds.
Right.
Or
stack the weights under there first.
Yeah, because the weights aren't going to move.
Quickly put the toolbox under there. Then okay, what do we got that's stronger than a toolbox? Move the weights under. Done. Now we can crawl out. Done.
But then the doors come down, trapping Locke, and it's like.
And now Locke is down. Poor Locke is down.
You think that's more of just the will he, won't he be able to walk? kind of thing. Like they're constantly messing with his legs on the island.
Well, again,
It's true.
Right. That's kind of my idea of like when I say he takes 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. We're literally getting that depicted to us. You know,
well, now that he can walk, he can take those steps. For a few years there,
right,
no
right.
steps
But
forward or backwards.
yeah. But there's always something that makes him have to stop and halt. You know, poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, you feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, Joel. It's his fault. Why would you slide? Why would you slide Ben under there?
Right.
You go in there first, even say.
Wow, that's cruel.
I know, but it's like okay, one of us has to go anyway.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't have learned all there is to learn about Mr. Henry Gale.
We would not.
Well, he would have just lost his leg, or got his leg, but he wouldn't have healed as quickly. What do you think about that? Because the island chose not to heal Ben.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Good point. Yeah.
And Locke healed really quickly from that. Jack told him weeks, and I'm pretty sure it ends in like a few days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where he's like taking the thing off, like no big deal.
Yeah, I think they even comment on it after Dave, whatever the episode's after Dave. Was it question mark?
SOS. Yeah. Because it's Rose that's like tells him, hey, he wants to go on a walk or whatever, and she's like, yeah, but he says I can't go. Like get up or whatever. And she's like, look, come on, you're gonna heal. It ain't gonna take you that long. And that's when he decides to take the little brace off. And
because she knows he was in the wheelchair before the
right, exactly. So the two of them.
How does she remember that? Did she see him get on the plane?
Yeah.
Okay.
In SOS, you see how the two of their paths crossed at the airport, and then they know about each other's situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. John comes back, and there's 2 guys waiting in the house, and they have Helen. Okay, this is where I go back because how long those guys were there. Helen and
she
the 2
made
guys.
Them coffee. She made them.
I know,
coffee.
and they didn't talk. They didn't say because at one point she gets up. Do you know what that guy has done to John? I'm sure they talked, but I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Helen knew what was going on.
It could be. I don't know, Jack. It could be.
I was surprised he didn't
know.
I was surprised he didn't bring the money back in. Like that was really smart for Locke to not bring the money in the house because he came in all full of piss and vinegar, like, "Oh, we're gonna put your son to best on," and like it was obvious he was super happy.
Yeah,
I feel like he could have. She had to know that he was lying. I mean, she even asked him, but like it was so obvious that something good had happened.
Well, John does lie to Helen.
Yeah.
At this point, why not just tell the truth?
Right.
I feel like he would have felt like he was letting her down. That he was a sucker for believing his dad or even talking to him, and just for lying to those guys. I don't know. I feel like he thinks she would have looked down on him for lying to those guys, lying for his father.
Yeah.
As opposed to just going, yeah, I did talk to him and he's here.
Right.
Kind of
that would have set her off. She would have been like, sure, I just told you not to. I've been telling you can't be involved with him, and you're lying.
Would she have respected him for doing that, you think? You think if he changed the way he handled that and he said, yeah, I did see my dad. He came to me when I was at a home inspection with Nadia, Saeed's girlfriend. Do you think that she would have accepted that and not been as pissed off at him as she was to where she ended up leaving?
It's not his fault. The dad
didn't lie.
No, the dad fakes the death, and the dad kept, and he goes, yeah, this is what he, I had a drink with him, find out what was going on, and he gave me $200,000. Really, that's that money was stolen.
She probably would have said, why'd you go get the money? Like, why'd you do that for him? But at least he wouldn't have lied.
Right. She probably would have said that. Yeah.
But it's almost okay. It's like, okay, like you're saying, is that all right? He would kind of lie. He didn't lie, but why did you follow your dad? If my dad wants to, I had a drink with him. Turns out he had this money.
I was trying to get my kidney back.
Exactly. I don't know. It just seems like there was no reason for John to lie.
True.
I'm just panicking in the moment. Like he said, the way he reacted about when she asked if he was lying to the men, and he said, no, I was just scared. I think that's the real answer for why he didn't tell her the truth.
I agree.
He was scared.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can live with that. We go back and Locke is trapped. He's telling Ben about the computer, about what he has to do, and right away Ben knows the numbers on just one try.
Right. Yep.
You think that's because of the Pearl, where they were sitting there watching at some point? Like, you think it's because of that you think he already knows the deal with it?
I think he knows it. Well, they've been watching that hatch forever.
Right.
So I'm sure he knows 4, 8, 15, 16, 23.
I mean, and not for nothing, he is a member of the Dharma Initiative anyway, and he would know all of the things going on in certain hatches, so he would be privy to it.
It's just a good memory, because you give me the numbers, I'd be like, okay, what is it again? What is it again? But that's me.
I'd just be like, oh, it totals 108. That's weird.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it took me 6 months to memorize those numbers in real life.
Yeah.
Well, I'm exaggerating, but I had to hear them more than once.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bunch of random numbers to hear at one time in a panicky situation where dude's got his leg with a post going through it, and you're just like, oh yeah, I got it. No big deal.
Yeah. I got the number. It's okay. Relax.
Do you think at this point, kind of a meta question, but do you think at this point they knew Ben was going to be who he was?
I don't know.
Because they said they put him in, they decided to have him on the show longer because of how awesome he was.
Right.
Intriguing as Henry Gale. Do you think they knew what he was going to become when, like, at this point?
Well, originally he was only supposed to be in 6 episodes.
Right.
And this is the 4th episode he's in, I believe, right?
So potentially no.
Yeah.
So potentially he could have not been, or he could have actually been Henry Gale, like in the writers' minds at this point. I don't know. I was just curious if you thought maybe they knew where he was going.
I think because I'm trying to remember back then, because Lost would take a lot of breaks. Did they have a couple weeks off? I mean, was this over a course of like 3 months, or just the regular 4 or 5 straight weeks, to give the writers a chance? Wow, these Losties, these fans are really enjoying Henry Gale. We need to figure out something else for him.
But
I think once they saw him on camera, they had to know, like, this guy is gold. We need to see more of him, whatever form that is.
Right.
Because he really brought out the best in Terry O'Quinn, Matthew Fox, Naveen Andrews, even not Ana Lucia, Michelle Rodriguez. They all
nothing brought the best out of Ana Lucia.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's a terrible person.
You're singing my song, brother. Here we go.
She's the second worst.
Oh, she's the first.
She had post-traumatic stress syndrome. We talked about this.
No excuse.
But okay, talking about Henry Gale for a second, we had seen, I feel like they did write him pretty well-rounded. I mean, I don't know how far off the deep end they were going to have him go as far as, someone who was somewhat in charge of something. But we saw what Ben, as Henry Gale, was. We saw him already trying to play games. We saw him trying to put things in people's heads. What if I drew you a map? What if it was a trap? So we kind of already know this guy is on the path of the Ben we do know later on. Although we get him on steroids later on, much, much more intense.
Right.
But he was multifaceted, I thought, from the beginning. But I love the whole journey his character took. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well,
do you think that Henry Gale stuff was consistent with who Ben became?
No, the lying. No, not
okay.
Well, the lying, because we
I just mean the way he acted. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we do know that Ben Linus even admits, I'm a liar. That's what I do. So his mind is always thinking of ways to lie and con people as well. How can I be superior in this conversation? How can I have the upper hand? He's always been that way.
Right.
Did we ever establish if he got caught on purpose?
I think he did.
I think he did. Yes.
To what end?
Yeah.
I think it was to go in there and because they had been watching the hatch. We know later on that they have video they're watching the hatch,
right.
And they see Jack and Locke are clearly the two main guys on the island, along with Sawyer, but they know Jack and Locke. He was there to put a wedge further between the two. Maybe it's just plus a game.
Just to weaken them, just to weaken their whole camp, so to speak, or.
Well, wasn't he kind of pissed off that they killed Goodwin and?
No, he wanted Goodwin dead.
He wanted Goodwin dead. So okay, so but
But Ethan.
Ethan, yeah. But I do think.
But that was Charlie. Yeah. Yeah. But no, I'm with you.
Yeah. But I think he did plan to get caught. He knew where Rousseau's traps are because in another episode he kind of mentioned something about Rousseau's trap.
Right.
That's one of those things where Rousseau conveniently leaves out the fact about Ben and Alex. You know what I mean? That we saw later on.
Mm-hmm. Wait, all she says to them, she says, don't listen to anything he says because he lies.
Right.
So she's already warned them he's a liar.
Yeah. She just didn't want to expound upon that too much and give them the answers.
Right.
Why didn't she kill him? Was she afraid that they would hurt Alex?
I don't know if she even knew Alex was alive at that point.
Yeah, I don't think she knew Alex was with them at that point.
But that had to be her best chance at getting Alex back, or at least finding out anything about her.
Right.
Yeah, you'd think she would have interrogated him.
Find that maternity leave that Alex is still alive.
Right.
For sure.
Right. That's when we find that out. Yeah.
We get Jack gets the meds. He wins, and we had the whole talk about his tattoo.
Yep.
Sawyer's tattoo. Sawyer talked about his tattoo. He goes, "Yeah, I got it in Phuket." He goes, "Oh, Thailand."
Yeah.
And he goes,
"I'm still here, just letting the dog out."
No problem. and then Jack says, "Huh?" And he goes, "What do you think? I'm stupid?" Because we know Sawyer, he's not stupid.
No.
He's a smart guy. But then he goes, "Surprised you didn't ask for the guns."
Yep. But when Jack, when he needs the guns,
I'll get the guns. And Sawyer just kind of looks at him like, I thought it was.
That was just flexing. That was just him flexing on him right there. Like, I'll get him when I need him. You got nothing that I want.
He had the bigger ruler at that point.
Right? Yeah, definitely had a bigger ruler.
I guess.
I don't know. We go back to Locke. He's at the motel, and what do we see flying over?
Oceanic planes.
Oceanic plane. Oh my God, it's Oceanic plane.
Well, I mean, it was the Flight Line Motel.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And then he's up there. He's talking to his dad, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna ask." Because he goes, "Well, who was that girl I saw you with? Or was that the either way?" Yeah. And he goes, "Well, Helen, I'm gonna ask her to marry me." He goes, "Huh, okay." And the whole time he's knowing that I'm working with Helen. She's not gonna work. She's not married.
Someday she's gonna work for one of those phone call lines where you just call and talk to a girl.
Exactly. But I'm not going
because you're desperate and alone.
But then they open the door, and who shows up? It's Helen. Helen's there, and she slaps Anthony Cooper in the face, saying, "You know what you've done to this poor guy," and all that stuff. And
I'm starting to lean towards the he's working with her thing because he seems like the guy that would have no problem slapping a girl back.
Yeah. He's a dirty guy. He's a dirty guy.
Oh well, sure.
They go downstairs, and Helen goes, "Helen, wait, Helen, wait, Helen, wait." And he gets the ring out.
I like when when Locke couldn't talk. He was like, when she caught him, he just like mouths nothing.
Well, that's why you tell the truth, John.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
But he asks her for a hand in marriage, and she says, "No, John, I can't." She leaves, and then Anthony Cooper just kind of looks at Locke, and being the great dad he is, instead of going over there and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, son."
Yeah. Toodaloo. Bye.
He drives off. and
I got a plane to catch.
You go, John, going, "I'm left alone again."
So but it's sad. It's so sad.
It is sad.
He made bad choices.
Right.
He did.
Right.
But again, I go back to the point that she left, and then Anthony Cooper left.
Yeah.
They definitely got on that plane together for sure.
I totally never thought about that, Jack.
So I'm putting two to two together. I don't trust Helen.
In all my loop watching, I've never put that. So now I'm going to be thinking about it in a whole different way.
She was always conniving on Married with Children, so she's typecast.
Have you seen her on Sons of Anarchy? She was pretty bad on there too.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, she was an amazing actress, but
But she
I don't want to
was
spoil
bad.
anything, but she has one of the worst scenes. One of the scenes that really just ticked me off. But I won't spoil anyone who hasn't seen it. But it just.
Well, you got to tell me now. What scene?
Well, I'll tell you guys after the. I'll tell you.
Okay,
after
fine. We're no way you're going to remember to tell me that. Write that down. Or something.
I won't. But you'll have
I'm
to
writing it down. I'm
remember.
writing it down.
Okay. Oh wait, we're supposed to have notes. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That was my favorite character on the show.
Yeah.
Talk about someone who got a raw deal. Anyway, so then we go back to John, and I think have the numbers been pressed? We don't know. Well, Henry. What was it?
He said he did at that point.
Yeah,
he said he put the numbers in, and then John's like, then what happened next? And he said a loud hum, everything. He didn't get to it in time. He did. He put the numbers in. Then it went to a loud hum and a magnet
the hieroglyphics,
sound,
and
right,
then,
and the hieroglyphics and funny, weird hieroglyphics showed. So that's the story he tells him at that point.
They really hammered in the electromagnetic thing in rewatching. You know what I mean? Like they were not shy about that's what's going on. And
right.
For some reason that didn't sink in on the first watch through.
I forgot to mention though, Henry, his first attempt climbing through the vent, he falls down and knocks himself out. And they only got
I don't know why that's funny.
They only got like 3 minutes of point. I didn't see him hit his head. I could be wrong, but
he was just messing with Locke.
Yeah, I think it was a distress. Henry, get up, Henry. But we do see something I know that at the time really got people going. We see the map.
Yes.
There's a map.
That was one of those things that just lit my brain up when I first saw that. Yeah, that was a moment like, holy crap, there's more of this stuff.
Everything had to go completely dark before you could see something important, and that was mind-blowing.
And it was, I can remember everyone finding the screenshot and trying to study what's the question mark? There's different hatches, all the different stuff going on.
And we were in a time before like true HD or like 4K or anything. So it wasn't really super clear. But you did notice that it kind of had the Dharma symbol like shape of all of them. You think they did that on purpose?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. They did mess with us.
I mean, the Dharma Initiative, you think they put the hatches in that symbol for a reason?
Yes. Okay, so talking about that for a second, because Karen's going to get all deep on you for a second, so
go for it. I love deep.
Okay. And again, I'm just crazy like this. But
we're all crazy.
Well, Dharma symbol is really the shape of the Bagua in Buddhism.
Bagua is Buddhist for stop sign. Yeah.
Well, but also the Dharma, when you read of what the Dharma Initiative translates to, is the Dharma Initiative translates to the start of the Eightfold Path, which is where you start to go on your journey to enlightenment.
Okay.
So all of that's connected to that idea, at least from what I pick out of it. So everything is purposeful. The symbols, the whatever hatches are called, even the title of the Dharma Initiative, it all tells me it has something to do with this whole journey that they're on specifically. So that's my crazy idea.
You can't argue with it. Again, I have to go with it. But I do. Do you think that? Are you one of those people that were upset that we didn't get more from Dharma after a while?
No,
you weren't. I know some people it ruined the show for them.
No, I think that's when I think we should have, when we have when Lost gets to come back on our airwaves, that we learn all about the Dharma Initiative first. That it's a prequel. I want the prequel.
I think a lot of people would be happy with that.
I would love for a Dharma Initiative spinoff.
Right. If you're going to give me something about Lost, my opinion is give us a prequel. Tell us about how the Dharma Initiative really started. Show us the makings of that. Tell us the stories of why those people decided to create this Dharma Initiative and create this island experience for people to utilize to learn about themselves.
Well, it wasn't even about the island, I don't think, because they had hatches off the island.
Right.
And that whole Ann Arbor thing. Right. And I know we're not on this episode, but I was just watching the one in season 4 where they showed Ben put in the tape where he had taped over the Red Sox tape.
Right.
And so then I paused it so I could show my girlfriend the Rachel Blake stuff from YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
Where she was the one who was filming that.
Yes. That was from the alternate reality part of it.
Yeah, there's so much stuff they could dive into there that wouldn't be a retread, that would be interesting stuff. I want to see the stuff from how did they get to the island?
Right.
The Hanzo Foundation tie-in. Like that's what I've always pitched.
Me too.
It wouldn't take away from the story that we already know.
No, because that's already,
it would just add to it.
Right. That's its own, that's done. That's its own contained volume of this story that could be expanded. But I think the beginnings of the Drama Initiative and Hanzo, that bit, I would totally dig it and watch it.
And it doesn't have to be 6 seasons. It could just be like a 10-episode arc.
Yeah, give us a mini-series, about different things within the show, just to expand upon them. You could do something on where they came up with that brainwashing thing they were showing Carl.
Right.
You know, like you could do little 8-episode things that just dive into some of the. You could do more on Jacob and Man in Black. Like there's so many things on this show that we're more about.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Show her getting there. I know that her thing of like the more questions you ask will just lead to more questions, but that's always like kind of a cop out.
But I agree with both of you. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. Where you're not going to. If people choose not to watch it, they choose not to watch it. But it's not going to take away from the Lost show we love.
Right. Just don't touch
I'm not one of these that's like don't mess with Lost. No, give us as much as you possibly can.
Right. Just
it's
leave
like
I'm sorry, but that thing after the fact, that epilogue just made me want more. I was just getting over my addiction, and then that was like crack. Like, I want more, please.
Yeah.
Anything.
I mean, we're talking about it right now, and I'm sweating and hyperventilating because I need more.
I think they can improve on the story. I don't think it's not like BSG, where Battlestar Galactica came out in '77. I remember watching it as a kid. It only lasted 1 season, and then they rebooted it, and they took a lot of the stories from BSG are in the original. They just made it a lot better.
Right.
I mean,
that's the one I could never get into. I really tried.
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know why I couldn't get sucked into that show.
I love the original because I was a kid. I loved watching it, and then when it came out, I was like, I'm too busy watching Lost. And then people said, you got to watch. I really got into it, but they take. It's similar stories, but they make it. There's no way. I'm sorry. There's no way. It's like taking Breaking Bad and all right, we're going to reboot this, and they get Better Call Saul, which is
right, a different avenue of that. That's
some people say it's better than Breaking Bad. I don't think
it's weird because some of it is better in the sense that you're getting a deeper dive on one character than you ever got in Breaking Bad.
Right.
But
I'm watching it right now, actually.
Right. But situations like that is proof that you can take the core of the story and the canon that you gave the audience and just give us another chapter.
It's the perfect example of how they could do the better. They could do just like they're doing with Better Call Saul with the Dharma Initiative, or Faraday, or any number of characters. Eloise, like there's so many people that I want to know more about. Charles Widmore.
And I would totally dig it as a period piece. Give it to us in the 70s. Give it to us in that time frame, which I think you would have a lot more creative.
It could go on
stuff
forever.
With too.
Yeah,
there's so many different stories.
They could do it like Star Wars, where they just keep telling different segments. Did Solo kill the original Star Wars? I don't think so. I think it was one of the better things they did.
Right, I agree. I agree on that. But so we're all in agreement.
Yes.
So if we're thinking this way, people at ABC have to be thinking this, right? Of course, they're
thinking of it.
I don't know that people care as much about Lost as some fanatics do, like us. I mean,
I think they do, though. I think people would be. I think people would be upset if you came in there and tried to reboot it. It's just like, no, I'm not buying this. Okay,
you know what? I don't go ahead. If that's all, I mean, I think it's sad if that's the best they could come up with is rebooting it, but I'd watch.
I'd give it a shot, but I would be, the minute it got bad, if it went south, I'd be like, all right, I'm done.
Well,
but weren't there a few moments where it got bad in actual Lost? Just a few, very minimal things.
There's some times you're like, okay, I don't like this direction, but
like, oh come on, Nikki and Paolo, come on, they've been there the whole time. Okay,
but they fixed it. But they fixed it.
They killed them off.
Yeah, they fixed it.
I laughed out loud audibly when I watched that with my girlfriend. She's like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "You don't understand. They're the worst," as well as Kate.
Again, it's the evolution of storytelling. It is. You gotta, it's the evolution of storytelling. You gotta. That's what they're paid to do, is write, but give us something awesome. But I can't. I just want a prequel. That if I'm gonna, go anywhere, let's leave the 6 seasons we have as Bible. Leave it alone.
I'll send this copy to ABC so they do.
They're listening right now. I mean, do you think they're not listening right now?
It's a license to print money. I mean, come on, what are they doing?
And they know that. They know that because they're still selling Lost and Dharma stuff on ABC.com. So they know.
Speaking of Lost, I went to I was in California recently, and I got a tour of the Walt Disney Studios, and
I'm jealous.
I got to walk through I was talking to Booker White, who is the head of the music department and the scoring for movies, and I saw sitting on a shelf underneath the Rise of Skywalker all the music that just came back. On the bottom shelf there, in between 2 other things, was LAX Lost.
Oh.
Wow.
Like just a manila envelope with that written on it. I was like, that's the score. And he was talking about Michael Giacchino.
Wow.
I do vlogs every day as well. And so like I put that in my vlog with him. I was just kind of secretly recording as he was talking about Michael Giacchino and coming in and doing Lost and stuff like that. And then we went to the East. We were at the Eastwood scoring stage, which is where they recorded the first 4 seasons of the Lost soundtrack.
Nice.
Awesome.
I'm jealous.
Me too. Me too.
Anyway, going back to Locke.
Poor Locke.
The hatch doors open and Locke gets himself safe right away. The first thing he does is slide to safety. Should he have gone the other way though? What if the doors had come down again? Wouldn't he be trapped on that side again?
Good point.
I think he was worried about them coming down immediately and smashing him in the face. So yeah, the self-preservation move was to go backwards.
But Henry does come back to help Locke. I thought for sure. I remember watching the time. Okay, he's gone. He's on the run.
Yeah, but
gone.
He's a hell of a guy.
You think Jack was right in why he came back? Like, do you think he came back simply because he thought his story would check out?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Or did he just need Ana Lucia and Libby to die?
No, I think he thought maybe a combination of both. It could be, because we find out later on more story about. Well, not later on, but he did need them to die. But he's such a storyteller that he wants his stories to be believed. So he figured his story was going to check out, but he didn't know he was messing with Saeed.
Yeah, Saeed knows what he's doing. It's the food. Then we see the food drop. And so do we assume, because I think Charlie even mentions it in Dave, do we assume the food drop had something to do with the lockdown?
Right. They're assuming that because they said something happened at the hatch. So they do put 2 and 2 together, except everybody at the beach didn't see anything fall with a blinking light on it. I mean,
I guess not.
So the people in the hatch didn't see anything, but everybody else was outside. You didn't hear a flyover, you didn't see a blinking light, and you didn't hear like something crash through the trees or whatever. So
how do you think the pallet was dropped? Do you think it was just like a plane or a helicopter, or I mean?
I think isn't it? Don't we see it in the epilogue? Don't we see?
Well, we see like that they're scheduling it. I just mean like physically. Is it you think it's a plane that drops it?
Is it time travel? Is it just kind of?
It's not time travel. Stop that nonsense.
I'm down for the time travel explanation. I'm just curious about the logistics of it. If they know it's a plane that can fly over and see the island, is it? Because I don't know.
It'd have to be pretty high up, like you said. People would hear a plane.
They'd hear it. They'd hear a helicopter. So unless they were all knocked out conveniently for a certain amount of time, I mean, you never know. But nonetheless,
definitely time travel. Definitely.
Well, nonetheless, it's got there, and there's all this food all over again. Everything they need is presented to them right there in their laps.
Saeed, Charlie, and Lucia return, and they say there was a man in the grave called Henry Gale, and that's the end of the episode. So overall, what did you guys think of Lockdown?
I loved it.
Yeah, it was a spectacular episode, especially the first watch through, because it was that glow in the dark map, amazing. It was like, where did that come from? And all of the questions that opened up, like, are there more of these? I don't know if I even thought, are there more hatches? Because I don't know that I even saw that it said you are here or I am here,
right?
And then to put the correlation together, that means there's more hatches. But
the map itself,
we didn't know the
showed
question
us that
mark with the hatch.
Right, we didn't know that, but we seeing the map though was like, wow, again, the show is always more than you think it is. Now we have to figure this out. What is that? How come we didn't see it before?
We also had the food drop.
And a food drop. So now we know, now we know that there is a lot more going on than meets the eye.
Is Helen working for with Anthony Cooper? That's another question we have.
Is it fair game to ask who scheduled the food drops for them? Do you think that
I think it's probably based on two people
in the 70s, like when they were there? You see where I'm going with that? Like, is it something when they went back in time that they could have thought, well, we need to make sure that there's food for us when we're here in the future?
It probably was based on two people, how much food they would go through, and how much, and probably was based on that, right? That they would send like maybe every 4 months, every 5 months they would send that out.
Well, I don't know, because also keep in mind too, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but we do know that there's, Dharmaville and all of, and then we'll learn later on about another hatch and another island. Those people are being fed, they have cheeseburgers, damn it. So they're getting
true, yeah.
But they killed the cows, right? Like they could have had cows on the island. I'm thinking in the sense of like Faraday was in Ann Arbor in the 70s. Right. So could he have known, because he knows more than most, so couldn't he have scheduled them somehow through Dharma to know, okay, well, these people are going to be there during this time period? I just always thought that them getting the food drops was because of them. Just like the need to push the button is because of them.
Yeah, it could very well be.
Because I always thought they could have got the food from the submarines too. The sub.
Yeah, they could have got. Yeah.
But I always thought, my theory is the sub was fake, but there was no sub. The sub was just because they put you to sleep on the sub. So
but we saw the sub eventually. You mean before that?
The sub is real, but I don't think the sub is your ticket to get
actually gets you to and from the island.
No, because why did they have to put you to sleep?
Right.
In order to get you to here or there.
Right. And Juliet,
they want you to believe it's a sub,
Right. And
it's
Juliet,
not like you're driving in a car where you can see, okay, we turned right here.
Yeah.
And then you could tell somebody how to get there. Yeah, fair enough.
But like I said, it's like, okay, I don't know how far it is, but it would probably take days, maybe weeks to get there. If they put you under, okay, you're there, we see Anthony Cooper got there pretty quick, right?
And we know, and jumping ahead, Juliet gets there. She leaves from an airport, by the way, but still, we know that it can't be a very long extended trip. They're not going to keep you knocked out for endless time.
I think the sub is just, I know a lot of people don't believe it, but I believe it. The sub was just kind of to get you thinking, you're going, you have to take a sub.
You always have a way out. Yeah, a way.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, well, that's your way off the island if you need it. It's a little bit of hope or like the belief that they can come and go as they please, when the reality is they can't come or go at all.
Right.
Anyway, So yeah, great episode. And now we're going to move on to Dave, which is I think it's a fun episode.
It's a fun episode, but it's very informative, and I love it. Love it.
I always thought Dave was for the fans, because a lot of the stuff he talks about, especially when that one part towards the end. But we'll get to that.
All right, yeah, we'll get to that.
Hurley and Libby are walking. They're exercising. Hurley's just he's trying.
Hating it.
Okay, I got my website up to read my notes. Hold on. I'm already logged in my website, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, she's like, you'll get addicted to exercise. And he's like, yeah, it's great.
Right, yeah.
I love it so much.
Anybody that's walked on the beach or ran on the beach, it's not easy.
Yeah.
No, that is not easy.
Especially the stops. If you're gonna, it's easier to run on the harder part. With the water. It's when you're running on that sand. That's a lot of work.
Right.
Not that I've done it in years, but many years ago. But then he starts talking about Libby, telling Libby, okay, there's this, there's that.
It's not about his metabolism. It's not.
No.
He confesses that it's not about his
He's
metabolism.
like, no, I'm just eating a lot. Yeah, I'm hoarding food.
Right.
He has a private stash.
Yeah. And
here's where I was upset with Hurley and Libby, and I know what she's trying to do. And there's not too many times I'll criticize Hurley, but to help him out, they take the food, just throw it all over the place. They dump the ranch dressing out.
My complaint with that is the first thing he does is he spills the ranch and it goes on his sleeve, and then every other shot there's no ranch on his sleeve.
That's true. Maybe someone looked it up. I don't know.
But see, that's her again trying to be the impetus to help him let go of all of that. So
right, but give the food to the other people.
To other people, I know. It's very drastic. I agree, but that's.
I understand 100% what she's trying to do, but you have people on the island are eating papayas,
starving. I know.
Fish and papaya.
I know. I just said give the food to other people, but then they got to answer for it.
Right? Where did it come from?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, true.
Just I had a private staff, or I found
that wouldn't go.
But then he's a jerk, and nobody wants Hurley to be the jerk
because everybody has to love him.
Or you leave a trail of food. Somebody finds it and goes, oh. Or you know what? You just tell Sawyer, "Hey, there's some food. I found some food over here. You can auction it off, or whatever." I agree. We don't want to hate Hurley, but at this point, I'm like, God, you're just wasting food.
But he's sick. He has a problem.
I get it.
That's why he's on the island. He has something he needs to learn and let go of.
NLC was sick and had some problems, but we all hate her.
That's the way it's supposed to be. This is the way.
But they see people running. They run over, and what happens? There's more food. This scene just cracks me up because you see Hurley's face like, no, not more. And then they're kind of fighting over it, and Sawyer of all people, like, come on, we're not animals here.
Yep.
Of all people, and then. And
I do want to say baby napper. Yeah, baby napper. When they're going through all that food and Sawyer calls Charlie a baby napper, if you listen while they're all kind of talking over each other, again, because I'm insane, you could actually hear Sawyer say, oh my God, I wrote it down. I'm crazy. When they're going through the pallet, Sawyer can be heard saying, it's every man for himself. And that is an episode that we get shortly after in season 3.
That's true. That's a good point. But it's just funny of Sawyer being the one to, question people. If he would have found
about integrity. Come on.
If Sawyer finds that first, he tells nobody.
Right. It's all his.
Yeah, he's now the food shop at that point. Yeah. He is. Come to me if you want it. Yeah. She said it was 10 loads of laundry for a tub of Neosporin or for a tube of Neosporin.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine what he would have been getting for some. What did Charlie have? Some sort of like pasta thing.
Yeah.
How much
risotto or something.
Yeah, risotto. There you go.
Yeah.
But then they're going back and forth, and Charlie goes, "Well, let Hurley be in charge." Even more. No, I don't want to.
Yeah. It's too raw for him. He can't handle it because the sickness is his food.
Right. And again, I agree with him.
You think that was just a coping mechanism for him? Like
it is absolutely a coping mechanism.
He's just like doubling down on food because
it is a coping mechanism.
To bring some joy.
Right, because in this episode is when we learn in the flash that he was on a pier with the pier
on
was only
the
built,
balcony thing. Yeah,
on the whatever it was, the pier. It was built for 8 people, but 23 died, and he blames
just throwing
himself.
the numbers in there again.
Yeah, right.
Well, 23 were on it, 2 died.
Right. No, 8 died.
Yeah, 8. It was built for 8 people.
Built for
23
8,
were on it when he
were on it
walked
when
out,
he was out,
and then 2 died. Yeah.
Yep. I just reread my line here.
They should have had 4 died because 4 is one of the numbers.
Right. But the point is that he's so guilt-ridden and grief-stricken, and it's guilt, really. And even his psychiatrist says that, you became almost catatonic. You didn't talk or anything, but you never stopped eating. So it's definitely his way of soothing his pain.
I'm sure people would blame him, too.
Well, sure. It's a lot to have to carry.
Because he did collapse when he walked out of there, so
right.
I'm sure they blamed him.
Right. Right.
So, but then, go ahead.
We jumped ahead, but that's, when you ask about that is definitely some way to try to soothe his pain. And that's the only way he knows how.
Okay.
And Hurley sees a guy that we know is Dave now.
Dude.
But, dude. And then he chases after him and he finds a slipper. And he actually has the slipper. So at this point.
Do you think he actually had the slipper?
No.
It's all in his head.
Yeah.
It's all in his head. I mean, I remember when I was watching it the first time.
Well, careful. Don't say it's all in his head, because that's what Dave said at the end.
Yeah.
That's important. Exactly.
Well, that was a theory that people had about. That was a lot of the stuff Dave was saying at the end were theories that people had.
Mm-hmm.
About Lost.
Okay, sorry, we won't get there yet. I didn't mean to jump ahead.
Hurley's telling the shrink, Dr. Brooks, right?
Yes.
He's under the picture of the island.
Yep.
Of an island, which I know people would like. That's people see. It's all in Hurley's head. It's all part of it, because people want to believe. I don't know if you guys remember St. Elsewhere. But
I know of the ending where it was in a snow globe. Autistic kid or something in a snow globe.
A lot of people would think there was that theory out there. Okay, this stuff shouldn't be happening. No one survives a plane crash of that height, and there's all the different stuff. So that people are starting to think, okay, maybe it's all in somebody's head. So they were thinking Hurley. So the writers said, okay, we're going to put Hurley in a.
They were very self-aware, where they would point out things like that. I'm surprised he didn't mention when he was saying things like, "Oh, and this just hot blonde is into you." I'm surprised he didn't say, "You survived a plane crash." You think that's plausible?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, but I know that I'm pretty sure they put that
So you
picture
don't
of the
think.
island.
So you don't think that Dave is part of Hurley's subconscious?
Oh no, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, of course he is.
I totally do. Yeah.
But when I first was watching, I'm like going, okay. Then later on, you start going different theories when you find out about Man in Black, and then you go, okay.
I didn't even think about that. Could he have been Man in Black messing with him?
It's like, okay. I mean, I know the Dave thing came up a lot during Lost, but at the end, I think after we've seen the conclusion of what the story, it had to be in his head. It was something he had. He couldn't be better until he realized Dave was just
right. And I'll jump on that bandwagon in a second when we get to that part later on about my heavy thoughts on that. So,
but Dave tells Hurley it's taco night, so Hurley's all in. Locke's leg is messed up, might have a small fracture, but then they go, well, we have that wheelchair. And Locke, no, I don't want the wheelchair. And I thought that was a great scene. It's almost like fear in Locke. I'm not going back to that wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. Again, you're making progress, so you don't want to totally resort back to where you were before.
Right.
So at least the crutches are giving me a little bit more that I'm not resorting all the way back that way. So, yeah, it's hope. A little bit better than relapsing all the way.
Yeah, I thought it was a great scene and great acting by Terry O'Quinn, because you could really see fear. I'm not going back to that wheelchair. There's just no way. Mm-hmm. I thought they burned the wheelchair, but I guess you can't. I guess you couldn't.
You could burn the plastic, the rubber part or whatever. If it's a seat.
And if it got hot enough, it would melt, wouldn't it?
It would be useless as a wheelchair, even if it didn't.
And on a wheelchair on the beach, I mean.
Well, they'd probably just whip up some bamboo stringed, like the rope, like they made Sawyer's thing that they carried him in like 30 seconds.
Did they ever make a wheelchair on Gilligan's Island? Otherwise, I'm not buying it. No.
I think they had a chair. They had the lounge chairs that had wheels on, didn't they? In the house.
Oh yeah, Lovey would lay on it or whatever.
Right.
Oh my God, we have really shown how old we are now. Holy moly!
Sunning themselves, but there was never any sun, right? Because they were in the soundstage. Let's see. Saeed is questioning Ben, and he reads the $1 bill, the $20 bill, and he goes, and Ben's like, uh-oh, I guess I screwed up. And then Ana Lucia keeps Saeed from killing Ben. At this point, Saeed just wants, he's upset. He blames them from killing, and he's got a better relationship with Ana Lucia now than he does the others.
Are you talking about Ben?
No, I'm talking about Saeed and Ana Lucia have they have a pretty decent relationship right now.
Well, considering where they started off, him killing Shannon or her killing Shannon and whatnot.
But do you think it's funny that all of a sudden now Ana Lucia is the one that, because I know that Karen and we had this debate about Ana Lucia and before, and I know you, Joel, you mentioned how terrible she is. She's the one keeping him alive. Literally,
keeping who alive?
Keeping Ben alive. Ben. Because when the episode before lockdown, she's the one saying, "Look, I'm all in. I have your back, but I need to get proof that he is who he is."
Right.
So that's just her cop instincts, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Where were those cop instincts on the other 48 days?
Well, because she's an idiot.
Yeah, she's also dumb. That doesn't. She's impulsive and emotional. I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think that lacks her. That makes her cop instincts go away completely.
Right.
I have I have sympathy for Ana Lucia.
Why? Get out. Just close yourself out of this chat.
I don't know if we could be friends any longer.
You watch another 48 days and you sit there and you go and you just see the stress and pressure she was under. Not to mention she lost her child. She was shot. She's should not have been back on the job. There was just a lot of stuff going on in her life. And here she's trying to save people, but yet people keep dying and disappearing on her.
But she was losing control, though, after a while.
Yeah, she was. She was a leader who should not have been the leader.
Right.
But who was going to be the leader? Bernard? Libby? Echo wasn't talking. Again, I think we talked about before. Her closest ally wasn't talking for 40 days. She had nobody to bounce it off. I mean, was Cindy going to be the leader? Who was going to be the leader?
But we got stuck with her, so it is what it is.
Right. So anyway, Charlie brings Echo a pilot, and Echo is working on something. He wants Charlie to help him.
Mm-hmm. But won't tell him what it is.
No.
Well, did Charlie even ask? I don't think he did.
He did ask.
Yes,
he did ask?
Yeah, what are you building? He goes, I could use your help, Charlie.
Yeah.
And then Charlie does. I think Charlie just needs something to do.
Right. He does.
Yeah, that's true.
He started beating up Son, and so he needs.
Yeah, he's feeling bad about the Son thing, and looking for some redemption.
Well, he should.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not saying he shouldn't. Of course, he should feel bad about that.
I mean, Kate never beat up Son. Ana Lucia never beat up Son. But Charlie, what a terrible person he is. I think it's where I think I said on that episode where I said Charlie was one of my favorite characters, and when he did that, it's like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you making me not like Charlie?
Yeah,
I did. It's probably one of my least favorite episodes, and it's because I think I felt uncomfortable watching it because they were trying to make me not like Charlie.
Right.
And again, he could have put the bag over her head and not. There was no reason for her to knock her out.
Right. But he did. He went too far.
Yeah, but he was reeling from the lock thing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
From the lock embarrassment. He was desperate at that point.
He wanted to get back at Locke. Yeah.
It's okay for Charlie to do that.
Well.
But not Ana Lucia.
What do you mean? Ana Lucia. I was going to say, are you defending Kate?
I do not have to like Ana Lucia. I don't care how much you try to talk me into it.
Well,
I really tried this recent rewatch.
Hurley finds some fish crackers, and he sees Dave again. He eats he's scarfing down the crackers, but he sees Dave again. He chases after him, and he comes upon Echo and Charlie. And Charlie gives him a smart ass answer, saying, "Yeah, I was watching a polar bear rollerblading. Yeah. I saw him, but
polar bear on rollerblades with a mango."
Yeah.
But here's where we realize that Hurley is trying to make sense of his reality at this moment in time, because he already knows with his previous mental health issues, what if I'm delusional? What if he's really here? So he's having a little issues with his reality at this exact moment.
And
is this really happening? So he wants somebody to validate it, but Charlie gives him a smart ass answer.
And to be fair, Charlie doesn't know his backstory.
Right, he doesn't.
He doesn't know. So he's just being Charlie, joking around. But Mr. Echo, the drug dealer, has compassion.
The drug dealer.
No, I've not seen him.
Yeah, but Echo's got good intentions. Just talk about a misunderstood person, but that's another episode.
Killer, murderer.
He sliced those guys with a machete. What do you mean misunderstood person? He only changed his tune because his brother got killed at his because of him.
Exactly. Everybody does what they have to do. It's horrible.
But
we did talk about that.
Everybody roots for a redemption story. There's nothing wrong with somebody trying to get their crap together.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And that's the whole idea of this island adventure.
And who's going to argue with Echo? Not me.
No,
you want redemption? You take redemption. I'm not going to fight you.
You don't want to talk for 40-something days? Have at it. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Then we see Hurley playing Connect Four with Leonard, and he's just repeating the numbers over and over and over again. Dave saying, what are you eating the celery for? Take a graham cracker.
Yep.
What's he going to do? Call you a 23?
Exactly. I thought, and then a great scene where Dr. Brooks goes, "Okay, can I take a picture of you two guys?" Mm-hmm. So I thought that's pretty sly by Dr. Brooks, and he doesn't show him to him right away.
Right. Yep.
Let's see. Hurley asked Sawyer for a favor. And this is one of my.
Do you think Hurley's crazy then? Do you think Hurley actually is crazy, or do you think it's more?
I think it's more stress.
Along the lines of stuff we learn later, where it's he was chosen in a way and actually can see the dead, or you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he was crazy. I think it just like maybe a mental breakdown where he's the guilt of two people dying that he blames himself for. I think that's.
Right. Everybody there on the island has that one major thing that brought them there. And Hurley's own troubles and his own baggage is this guilt that he has. So he needs to learn to let go of it and move on.
So you think that's why he's seeing Dave again on the island?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he has guilt for he's eating he hasn't lost weight. He's gained he's gained weight. He should have been, because he said he was happy when he first got there. Papaya and mangoes, I'll be losing weight left and right.
Right. But the island seems to kind of be this place where it makes you face these challenges constantly, head on. With Charlie, it was the heroin. And, whether it's drugs or food or a situation, it makes you face these things.
Oh, in the sense of him, they're being more thrown in your face, like
right.
It's something you'll have to stop, but then boom, here's more.
Right. So it's a test. It's a test to say, how are you going to find a way to move on from this thing that you're holding on to? It is emotional. It's mental, and it's part of the journey to enlightenment.
Plus everything that's happened.
The lesson keeps coming back to you until you learn it.
Plus everything that's happened on that island, surviving the plane crash, people dying that
right. It's very stressful.
Others, smoke monster out there, wreaking havoc. There's just a lot going. I think it's just.
And once the food presented itself on the island, Hurley gravitated right to that. That was his comfort, so he gravitated right to that.
And it wasn't his fault he was eating; it was Dave's fault. Dave's the one that said, "Yeah, you need to keep eating." Yeah, why were you letting him tell you what to do and all that different stuff?
Dr. Brooks is the one that says to Hurley that Dave's the one that doesn't want you to change.
Right.
So that's why, for me, it's I feel like Dave is that other part of Hurley's own psyche. You know.
But then a funny scene in the episode where Hurley's talking to Sawyer, asks him for a favor. He's telling him he wants to get this medicine. He goes, "Well, it helps you stop seeing things." And, like, what are you seeing? I'm seeing a bald guy in a bathroom. Oh, like that guy over there?
That was me.
Sawyer. Again, Sawyer doesn't know. To be fair to Sawyer, he doesn't know his backstory, right? He doesn't know that Hurley was in it. And so Hurley sees it, and he goes, and then he starts beating up on Sawyer.
I mean, the way he was trying to crawl out and then he gets pulled back under, that was like a cartoon.
It was great.
Then,
like somebody trying to escape a cartoon scuffle where it's just like dust lines everywhere.
Trying to get Jen to go break it up, and Jen's just laughing. He goes, I think everybody wants to be. I think everyone's happy that Sawyer's getting beat up. I mean, it's just everyone's doing Hurley's doing what everybody wanted to do it,
right?
And just rough him up. So then Jen goes over there and finally breaks up the fight. But his laughing was either great acting by Daniel Day Kim, or it was real. Yeah. Because
that had to be real. I mean,
because he was literally laughing. I mean, it was like the greatest thing he'd ever seen.
It was hilarious.
Because I was laughing. I've seen it 100 times. I still laugh every time. And then Hurley doesn't want to talk to Libby. I'm out of here. I'm not talking.
He's going to run away.
I'm going to run away. I'm taking my peanut butter and going on a hike.
But see, even though he wants to run away, he takes the one crutch he needs, which is food.
Right. Yeah. He takes a lot of peanut butter.
Yep.
Because I think we all have that vice, that thing that comforts us.
Well, he would have needed some sustenance. It's not like he was completely out of line by bringing something, but a tub that big. Right. Yeah, fair enough.
It's a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Actually, it looked pretty good when he anyway.
When he was eating it with a leaf.
Yeah, it was gross, but I said, "It's creamy peanut butter." Nice. I don't like the chunky kind. I like the creamy.
No, you don't like the. I can do both. Chunky.
I'm just not a chunky. I don't like the chunky peanut butter.
If they put the peanuts in the creamy peanut butter, now we're talking. The chunky peanut butter is a different consistency.
It is, yes. I like peanuts. I like peanut butter. I just don't like the broken little bits of nut in there. I'm funny that way. Hurley goes. It's going to go back to the
when you do a podcast.
Hurley's going to go back to the caves, right? And then we go back off the thing, and Dr. Brooks is talking to him. He goes, "If I wasn't so fat, they never would have died." And that's just what he believes. I'm sure that's what he was told too. I'm sure people said, "Why did you come out here? You're too big for this." I'm sure people put guilt on him on top of the guilt he already felt. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't his fault.
So it's a lot to carry. It's a lot to emotionally carry, and it's too debilitating for him.
It could have been anybody that walked out there, and it probably would have collapsed. But
yeah, well, that's what Dr. Brooks was saying. 23 people on a deck that was made to hold 8.
Made to hold 8. Yeah.
And then Dr. Brooks shows him a picture of him and Dave, and Dave's not there.
Right.
Dave's not here. And then Hurley, he says goodbye to Dave. They're making their break, right?
Right.
Right.
Dave's trying to entice him to jump out the window and escape, get out of here, and we can go get cheeseburgers and stuff like that. So
chili fries.
That
sounded good.
Yeah, he is Hurley's subconscious saying all the things Hurley wants. He's like, but I want cheeseburgers.
Right.
Who doesn't want a cheeseburger?
Right. So that other side of your being is there kind of trying to talk you into something. And, we've all been in that situation where
it's the easy path. Like, let me do the things I love to do. Yeah.
Right. But he fought it, and he really tried to let Dave go. He really did. And he did.
How did Hurley get the keys?
He must have stolen them. It must have been a subconscious thing. Yeah.
He did take them. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Dave didn't do it.
Right. No. Hurley took the keys.
Now, do you think Dave was gone from that point on?
I think Dave was probably gone from that point on until Dave needed to present himself again on the island in this particular instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the need for Dave coming back on the island?
Whatever Hurley's stresses were at that point, which probably had to do with the food. Again,
the food is always, it's not Hurley's fault, it's Dave's fault.
Right. But so whenever there's a food thing, I mean, obviously being in a plane crash and on an island is stressful enough. So, but the food thing, so whatever the baggage is that Hurley has, it just must have built up now, and he needed Dave back for a few minutes, so.
And then you have Dave and Hurley are talking, and he tells him, you're still at Santa Rosa. And everything he's saying, it's like, okay, oh, so the hot chick from the other side of the island likes you, and all the different stuff he's saying. And this has happened, this has happened.
I mean, that was pretty like, oh, and she likes you.
Right. But if you think of it now from Hurley's perspective, if that is Hurley's own subconscious talking to him, he's doubting that someone so beautiful can love him.
Right. Yeah. I get that 100%. Yeah. Like, how could this person love me?
Right. It's sad. It's so heartbreaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
it's totally relatable though. Yeah. It's just like, how could they love me? That doesn't even make sense. What about me? Yeah.
But Dave is saying a lot of the stuff that we as fans at the time were saying. How could this have happened? How could this have happened? Had all the different things he was saying, and then Dave jumps. He keeps telling Hurley, "You need to wake up. You need to wake up. The only way to wake up."
He says he's the part of himself that wants to wake up. Hurley asks him, "So you're part of my subconscious?" And Dave says, "Yes." And he says, "Which part of you?" And he says, "I'm the part of you that wants to wake up." Again, enlightenment. Wake up. Enlightenment.
This was a part where, because Man in Black cannot kill the candidates.
Right.
But I honestly believe he took over Christian Shepherd's body and was leading Jack over the cliff to kill Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I always, that's why I know for the longest time, I always go back, okay, was Dave, but Dave's body was not on, there was no Dave. So it's like.
See, I didn't kind of believe that Man in Black was always in these other personas. I personally didn't think that was the case.
You don't think it was a Christian Shepherd?
No. And you know why? Because when we got remember the little mobisodes we got? And there was like 10 little mobisodes we got. Yeah. And then that one episode, the last one we got was Christian on the island. And he tells Vincent, "Go wake up my son." That
So you think that the island brought him back to life?
It's a little hard to discern.
Well, no. If you're gonna say that was his son,
well, that's what he says. I can't ignore that mobisode because we're actually seeing that person say, "Go wake up my son."
I remember that.
But doesn't Man in Black have their memories though? Isn't that part of it though?
Well, why would he tell the dog, "Go wake up my son," when he just say, "Go wake up Jack"?
Well, he didn't want to confuse the dog. I mean, like the dog knows the difference between saying the word Jack or my son. Like, it's a dog. I mean, come on.
It is a dog. But anyway, there are certain things, like I said, there are certain things that stick in my mind that I can't negate some of that dialogue. It's like, okay, why were we told that? But, and then.
Simply to throw us off the fact that we hadn't known about the Man in Black yet.
We didn't know about the Man in Black. That is true.
Maybe they didn't know about the Man in Black yet.
Right.
It's very possible.
It's very possible.
I think Man in Black was because we see with Echo, he's scanning. He scans her memories, right?
But maybe they didn't know that he was going to be a person yet.
Right.
No, they probably didn't. No.
Right. I agree with that. They probably didn't know he was going to be a person.
Despite the fact that everything in Chronologically Lost works somehow. I don't know how they managed to make everything work, but like putting it in chronological order, there are like one or two things where it's like, yeah, that doesn't really jive.
Right.
But everything else, there's a lot of complication in this show. Yeah. And for everything to work in chronological order is pretty bizarre.
Right.
And even that stuff checks out for the most part. Maybe not the mobisodes, but I think they put them in there.
Yeah. But I just kind of feel like we're seeing just for the most parts when we get these things, it's really part of that person's, whatever episode we're talking about, this one we happen to be talking about Hurley and Dave, that we are seeing a part of Hurley himself that is manifested. That is manifested. And there's times when Jack, the only thing that maybe he does manifest in his psyche is that attachment to his father. So who knows? But and I could I could be totally off the mark about the angle
again,
I took all this time,
Say this every time I do this rewatch, that is the beauty of Lost, is we can sit there and have two different views of what happened.
Right. And that's totally cool with me. I believe it was
Men in Black and
it could be, right. It very well could be.
Just because his body wasn't there. Remember when he gets the coffin,
right?
Christian Shepherd's not there.
Right. No, he's not there. And then when Jack dies, Jack's not in the casket either.
So yeah.
So
it's so fun to show.
Yeah. No, but that's why I love discussing Lost. I love to hear everybody's take. I may have my own, but I want to know what everybody else's thoughts are.
Yeah. Whenever anybody throws anything else, it's like, holy crap, I didn't even think of it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, just
even if it's wrong sometimes, it's worth listening to.
Yeah, that's what makes this show so good.
Exactly. That's why I say what I say, and it could be right, it could be wrong. It is what it is. And
everything matters on this show. Right. All the little details matter. And that's so crucial to loving this show is the fact that everything matters.
Right. And don't you feel that too, that each person's experience watching Lost is individual as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
Right. We all take something different from it. Right. Sometimes it's not just literal. There's a man in black and he did this and he did that and he did that. Sometimes it's metaphoric. Sometimes it's, a whole other way of, grasping of what they're trying to tell us. So
why have we not gotten another Lost yet? Why has nobody else been able to tap into what made this show so special?
Yeah. I mean, it's a deep show.
It is.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, Jack.
No, it's fun. It was, again, like Joel was saying, it's just things you go, well, I never thought about that. So that's what for the third time, this is what makes this show one of a kind, because we're still talking about it. We don't know for a fact.
And we all still have different opinions on things or different insight or different takes on it. So
and I'm sure there's someone out there right now that thinks, no, you're both wrong. This is what
it could be. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
Why aren't they commenting in the live comments?
I don't know. Do I have it on public? Maybe I didn't put it on public. I don't know. I apologize if I didn't.
I shared it on Facebook. There's a few people that have watched. So I mean, come on, leave some comments.
Yeah. People.
Ask questions.
We don't mind.
Right. I love if somebody was asking questions.
Not that we're the experts necessarily, but I mean, I feel like I've watched this show enough times that there's nothing you're going to slip past me.
I don't care.
It's all about discussion, right? It's all about discussion.
Except for Kelvin. The name Kelvin's evaded me for some reason.
I have trouble with my grandkids sometimes. I'll sit there and go. The youngest one is named Hayden. Jay's youngest boy is named Alex. Sometimes, for whatever reason, I can choose the names. I did it again today. My wife just looks at me. I go, I don't know. I have one granddaughter, and she's the one I get right every time.
Well, because she's the granddaughter, but still, because
you're
a parent.
I get him right. But
but I'm sure you called your kids different names at times. Your own kids different names.
My two daughters, I used to get mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't know.
Anyway.
It's only getting worse. Let's see. Dave tells Hurley, need to jump so you'll wake up. And then Dave jumps. Dave! And you even see the splash.
Right.
The splash in the ocean. You see the splash. I said, so again, they're still, playing it out. Then we go back to the hatch. Anna Lucia is cleaning a gun, and Locke wants to talk to Ben. And Anna's like, I don't know if that's on the agenda. Locke,
right.
I don't need your permission, Anna Lucia. Can I have 5 minutes?
He earned 5 minutes. I earned 5 minutes with him.
I mean, I like that he said, with all due respect, I don't care what you think, because nobody does, because she's Anna Lucia, and she's one of the worst.
But then again, he did care. Well, I think I've earned 5 minutes. Could I have 5 minutes?
Then he did like explain himself.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's a cue.
That's just me.
Wow, finally someone popped up.
Oh, we got excited for a second.
John talks with Ben, and he says, God this, God that. And he goes, God can't see the island any better than anyone else can see.
Do you think that's true? Do you think that, with the whole Jacob thing, is Jacob the god of the island to where God can't see it? Like, do you think there's something there? Like, do you think there's any truth to that? Or do you think that's just Ben talking out his ass?
Well, it could be, but we do know later on that Ben is privy to someone named Jacob.
But he never met him.
No, he didn't. And it was all trickery and stuff. So, you don't know again, he's telling a story. Maybe he's just.
Well, he is telling the truth in one sense because people can't find the island. So he's telling John,
right.
There's a reason you're not being rescued because that was always a question we had. It was like, how have they not been found? I mean, in
that sense, they threw us off the track there with we were 1,000 miles off course.
Right.
Like that makes sense at least, to where it was like, well, they're looking in the wrong place.
Right.
I get that, but satellites are everywhere. It would have to pick up. But then, of course, we had that plane crash a few years ago where it crashed in the ocean. And they never did find it, did they?
The Malaysia one where it was where they were talking, and everybody was like, "It's lost," and it was like, "Okay, come on, this is real life."
Yeah, real life. But they didn't find it.
But it's just like, but to me, but then I think this was the writers telling us that no, you can't see the island.
Right.
It can't be found. Now the God part, nobody knows that. That's up to your interpretation. Who you know,
right?
If you believe, you not believe, and all that different stuff, but. He's telling John no one can see the island. And then he tells John...
My question is, who was he talking to in that cabin? What was the cabin thing about? I know we're not on that episode, but I've always wanted to ask anybody that had another opinion on that. What the hell was he talking
about?
Any theories?
I think they were going a different direction.
Yeah, you think it was just they redirected at some point after that?
I think they redirected it or something like that.
You think that at the time was meant to be Jacob?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know there were a lot of theories. There were a lot of theories at the time going around, but it was like, in the end, I really don't have an answer for it.
That guy ended up being nothing. So it's just, I don't know. I was just curious. Sorry, carry on.
I'll have you back on when we do that episode. How about that?
Please do. Yes, okay. I would love to talk about that.
Just remind me because I'm old and I can't even remember my grandkids' names. But then he tells John, I never entered your numbers.
Yeah, nothing.
It did something. It flipped around, and then John's like, "What?" Yeah. Just his way of just digging at John. Because wouldn't Henry want the hatch to implode? Because all the weapons are there.
Not with him in it.
Not with him in it. But if he's going to.
Oh, you mean after the fact? Like he's trying to plan it so that John doesn't push the button.
Right.
Okay.
Because they could probably push the buttons remotely. If Henry never got, they were, because they remember when Michael thought he was talking with Walt.
Oh, yeah.
So they could probably put the numbers in remotely, and so they don't need to be actually in the hatch.
But I think a lot of this stuff with Ben and John is a head game.
Yeah.
Ben is just, it doesn't matter whether the hatch could really implode or not. What does John believe is going to happen? So he's just playing a head game with John.
Yeah.
He's trying to just get in his head.
But again, is he doing it so, because he obviously doesn't want the hatch to implode with him in there. That's why he put the numbers in.
Right.
But is he telling John that because he wants John and the Losties not? Maybe that's the reason he went there, was to get them to stop putting, because all those weapons are there. The weapons aren't there anymore, are they?
No, didn't they get moved?
Because remember Sawyer has them.
Yeah,
and does Ben know the weapons aren't there anymore?
Well, he must. He's in the armory. There's no guns in there. He's being held prisoner in the armory.
So I guess I answered my own question.
Well,
and then we go back to Libby. Libby talks with Hurley. I thought it was a great scene. She talks him off the ledge in so many words, and they kiss. And he goes, "Well, if it's real, can I kiss again?" And then
he's like, "You should probably just show me again, just to make sure."
Yeah, slight move by Hurley.
Well, he needed a reality check. He needed to make sure that was real.
No, he just wanted another kiss.
Oh, come on, fellas, stop!
Don't Teffa.
I think we're making too much. It was he wanted another kiss.
Yeah.
But then
I've tried that, by the way. I've done that move. Let's just make sure that was a thing.
But then I like to see the way it ends. We see Libby is in with Hurley.
That was one of my favorite reveals in the whole show.
It was great.
Yeah,
but how did
that was just
not,
like, wait,
she
what?
had different color hair. But how did Hurley never recognize her?
I know, it's one of those things.
Maybe just blocked it out.
Well, he was too distracted with Dave.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave
and he was
Leonard.
playing Connect 4 and eating
Leonard,
tacos.
with Leonard and Dave, and he was absorbed with Dave. He was absorbed with now getting keen to Leonard
and the doctor.
And the doctor
trying to believing whether or not that's true or not, what this doctor was saying. So
he was distracted. He was he was distracted.
He was on clonazepam, so
yeah.
I don't know exactly what that does to you, but I assume it's not conducive for starting female relationships.
And remembering faces. But again, it just gives us another sense of connected. We've all crossed paths somehow, somewhere, and we're connected.
That was one of those questions I had for a long time, was like, sorry, Libby cannot die until we find out why she's in the mental institution.
No, she's going to die.
That was one of those that I was going to be livid with the show if they never came back to. And luckily they did, but it was just like, no, sorry, you can't open that one up and not come back to it and to give me an answer. You can't just kill her off like that.
Just because she hangs out with Michelle Rodriguez.
I know, just because they're getting drunk and driving. I mean, it can't be the reason they killed him off the show.
Might have been. Anyway, but that's how the episode ended. So what are your guys' final thoughts on Dave?
Yeah.
He was kind of a jerk. Oh, you mean the episode, not the character.
Dave's
no, it was he's not the worst. Kate is way worse. Dave just wanted Hurley to eat tacos and cheeseburgers, and I have no problem with either of those things. No, it was an interesting episode because, like you said, it reflected what the fans might have been thinking, that this wasn't real, that the world that we're living in on the island can't possibly be the real world, but we didn't know what that world was at the time. We assumed it was the real world, but is it really? I mean, are they just saying that everything in the real world is normal, but on the island is special? Because Hurley's seeing ghosts or whatever off the island too.
Right.
So that's just this world. So yeah, people were trying to explain it as, well, the supernatural stuff can't possibly be happening. So maybe it's just in somebody's head.
Right. Or at least parts of something that we see is not everything, but parts of
it. Libby answered that back by saying, what was that guy's name that broke his leg?
Right. She had her own reality there.
She's like, you don't tell me that's condescending. That's insulting that you're saying you made me up.
Right.
So I think that was them answering back to the people who said this is all just a dream or whatever.
Right. No,
I thought two great episodes. I thought there were two great episodes to watch and talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love them. Hey, Jack, you should start a tally board every time you have your guests on. Just start a tally board of Ana Lucia, Kate, or whoever. See who wins out as the most annoying or hated character on Lost.
Kate. Sorry, Kate.
I still say
Ana Lucia wasn't on long enough to be that annoying. She was only on for like a season.
Michael's wife was the worst.
Oh, man,
not wife. They were never married. That's Sarah. What was her name?
Susan.
Doesn't matter. Susan. How about we just pretend? Oh, I was going to say, how about we just pretend we don't know her remember her name because she was so bad.
Susan to me was the worst.
Yeah,
she wasn't a nice person.
I just realized I'm not using my mic. I'm using the did I sound all right? Because I just realized I'm not using my microphone. I did never pick it up.
What are you doing? You're the professional here. How long have you been podcasting?
We're trying to follow your lead, Jack.
Since 2005?
I go, why's the light not on? I go, I never plugged it in. Okay. Anyway. Because I had the wrong notes. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks again for joining us on this Lost rewatch. Any final thoughts you want to give out? Anything you want to talk about?
Anytime you want me to come back and talk about Lost, I would be happy to.
Yep, and
Yeah,
you
this
know, I'm always willing to come back. It's always a great time, and I love
we got someone.
sharing.
Michelle says
Yeah,
Juliet
Michelle.
is the worst.
Yeah, she
Juliet.
is Juliet.
Uh-oh.
She is
Uh-oh.
not a fan of Juliet. She's just
Really?
we haven't. I mean, she's watching it with me,
Yeah.
so she hasn't gotten to that point yet of knowing more about
Okay,
Juliet.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we'll give her Juliet for now, but
We won't
she'll
spoil
change
her
her
on
mind.
Juliet.
She'll change
No,
her
we
mind.
won't spoil you on
Yeah.
Juliet, Michelle.
Yeah.
But
Just because
it's-
Juliet can't cook, there's no reason to not like Juliet.
no, I mean we're at the point where she's still kind of working with Ben.
Okay.
And passing along the information back and
early
forth.
on,
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
So you're early on still.
All right, so.
No, but thank you guys.
Yeah, it was fun. Enjoyed it.
I always have a blast and discussing and really, thank you so much. I really enjoyed my time hanging out with you guys.
I feel like I have been on a journey to enlightenment.
Oh, yes. Namaste.
I think I'm on a journey to make sure I put my microphone
Now
on.
I'm a go.
All right, guys. See you later.
Good night, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.